Courage earned him the nickname, the Apostle of the Pacific. Everywhere he traveled, he encouraged new believers to become leaders within their own communities rather than depend entirely on foreign missionaries. Entire islands gradually embraced Christianity, proving that faith could flourish even in places once known for constant tribal warfare. But there was one destination that everyone warned him to avoid. The islands known today as Vanuatu remained almost completely untouched by Christian missionaries. Stories from sailors described violent attacks against foreigners, and several expeditions had already ended in tragedy. Even experienced captains hesitated to approach the coastline. When Williams announced that he intended to go anyway, many begged him to reconsider. They reminded him of his wife, his children, and the countless churches that still depended on his leadership. John quietly answered that Christ had never promised his followers safety. He had only promised to be with them wherever they went. "If we expect these people to hear the gospel," he reportedly told his companions, "someone must be willing to go first." On November 20th, 1839, his ship anchored just offshore near the island of Erromango, landscape that tropical, peaceful from the sea, with dense forests stretching down to bright sandy beaches. But everyone aboard knew the danger hidden beneath that beauty. As John Williams stepped into a small boat with fellow missionary James Harris, the crew watched in silence. Some prayed, others wept openly, believing they would never see their friends again. When the missionaries reached the shore, curious islanders gathered around them. At first, everything appeared calm. Williams warmly attempting to communicate through gestures of friendship, but within moments the atmosphere changed. Warriors emerged from the forest carrying spears and clubs. Realizing the situation had become deadly, Williams attempted to retreat toward the boat, but it was already too late. The missionaries were surrounded. Neither man carried a weapon. Neither tried to fight. Witnesses aboard the ship later recalled seeing confusion on the beach before the attack suddenly erupted. John Williams and James Harris were killed within minutes. The horrified crew could do nothing except watch from the water, unable to reach them without suffering the same fate. News of their deaths spread rapidly throughout Britain and beyond. Many assumed the tragedy would discourage future missionary work in the Pacific forever. Instead, the opposite happened. Churches across Europe were deeply moved by Williams' sacrifice. Young men and women began volunteering for missionary service in unprecedented numbers, inspired by the example of a man who believed no people were beyond the love of Christ. Decades later, new missionaries returned to Erromango, not seeking revenge, but bringing the same gospel John Williams had died trying to share. This time the message was received. Over the years, Christianity spread throughout the island. Churches were established, and many descendants of the very people involved in the attack embraced the Christian faith. Today, John Williams is remembered, not because he avoided danger, but because he willingly faced it for the sake of the gospel. His story reminds us that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing obedience even when the cost may be everything. More than 180 years later, the island that once rejected him now remembers him as one of the men whose sacrifice helped change its future forever.